What's happening, everyone? You know what? We're live today. Welcome to the show. I am Max. This is the RHMax channel where we win. We win. We talk about winning. We talk about constructive criticism on winning, all that type of stuff. Behind me is Richard Hart, and the other side is Pikachu. So if that offends you, then you know what to do. Smash that X button, top right X button, or however you close the tab on your particular browser you're using. Welcome to the show. Validator AMA number 26. I was talking to David Feeder and Gamma DevOps or Gamma 4IO. He changed his name recently in some of his branding, but I was on the Validator panel the other day at the PLS live conference, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna start creating some more content." I'm like, "You guys inspired me. I gotta do a Validator AMA this week too." So I said I was gonna do it. I'll do one soon. And today's Wednesday, and had another stream I thought I was gonna do, but don't look like it's gonna happen today. So we're gonna do Validator AMA. It's gonna be great. What's up, Matt T-Share? You're gonna get a lot of information today, by the way. I can go for maybe 30 minutes or so, and it's gonna be chock full of stuff. So get your questions in. I'll try to answer as many as I can, but I got a lot of topics to go through as well. Hi, Max. Sorry I can't make a stream. Could you please cover the monitoring setup, please? I'm using your scripts and getting error with PIM file not found, port 22 not open. I'll be replicating. Yes, I will certainly cover that. Let me get that in just a minute, Matt. Good question. Crypto Jane, what happens to PLS death? I was thinking about this on the way. I just took a run, and I was kind of thinking about this. I didn't know if I wanted to talk about it here or another stream, but I'll just briefly touch on this. I think, who was it? I was watching a Big Pep stream a couple days ago. Really good information from him, a lot of nuance, a lot of good perspective to think about things. And he talked about it, he sort of went through probabilities, right? And the way I think about it, not anyone else should think this way. I don't tell anyone, I don't give advice. I don't tell anyone what they should do. The way I think about it is, I believe there's a high chance that, and I'm not going to put a number on it, but a high chance that this community not only survives, but thrives. We've been beat down before. We've had the FUD before. It doesn't really matter what shade or which spectrum of FUD it's on, which shade or spectrum of, I don't want to call it bad news because, literally and figuratively, the jury's still out. I'm not that they have jury in civil cases and stuff like that, but things have been decided. So for me, I don't know the future. I can't predict the future. But I can tell you I've been confident. I'm very confident that this community and the code will stand the test of time. And I can't tell you when, and I can't tell you what's going to happen. But I believe, I'm very long this community. I'm along Richard Hart. I say it all the time. So I'm not going to get shaken out by more stuff I've already seen time and time over in different flavors of the week. Everyone makes a choice and do what they do, but I'm good. I think that, is it always nice to see things that look more bullish? Sure. But I don't know how to describe it. I can't care. Maybe that's another way to put it. I can't care about a lot of this stuff. I believe long-term in this community. I believe long-term in the product. And I believe Richard is a genius billionaire. So to me, that means high probability that things are going to be all right. And you never know, maybe up and to the right. Not forever. Everything's a cycle. We know that. But I have no problem with this. So death, no. I don't believe so. What you believe is your own story and how you think about things. But I believe lots of life. Let's say it like that. Bojan, what's happening? Hello, Sayans. Hello to you. Hexglen, one of my favorite people I got to meet in real life. What's happening, Hexglen? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Cryptologist, there is no death. The battle zone separates warriors from wimps, guys. All in this fun will be in history winners, the ones who know conquer fears and hard times. Yeah. I agree with everything you just said there. I like it. I agree. I like that quote. What is it? It's like the hard times make strong men and good times make weaker. And, there's like four or five different phrases. It's a great quote. You look it up. And I think that's so true. And a lot of people are leaving now. Maybe they'll be back. Maybe they'll never be back. I hope that the people who are staying and are buying bottoms, I hope they are very, very much rewarded. Not talking about myself, I'm just saying in general. I like to see other people win, especially in this community, especially people contribute, especially people who do amazing things. A lot of great people here. Is there an easy way to change your validator graffiti if you're already up and testing? Yes. Funny enough, you asked me a question. I don't do much with validator graffiti at all. I don't even think I have it turned on in my scripts. You have to turn it on manually. I think I did write about it once. Let's see. A while back. I'm just not really interested in graffiti, honestly. I mean, it's cool, but it's one of those optional things I don't know. I just never really got into. Let me see if I can find it. Graffiti. I know I covered it somewhere. Yeah. So there you go. I'll put this in here. So it's really simple to change. I mean, it's literally just a flag. That's what we're going to go over too. Geth, Lighthouse stuff. I'll talk about DigitalOcean a little bit too. And which is what I'll be working on tonight. When I get some time tonight, I'll be starting a new validator sync over there and testing that. Have not confirmed DigitalOcean is the right choice to switch to from AWS, but I am testing it, and I have some documentation if you would like to test it as well. So graffiti. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't include the graffiti as default on my validator script, but if you want to do it, you can edit your Lighthouse beacon service file. And on the exec start command, which is the command that runs your node user, the systemd runs the system services as the user you specify, which is node user by default with my scripts. The exec start is the command that it runs, which is running the beacon client. And then if you want to add graffiti, it's -- graffiti, and then put in what you want. For example, Richard Hart was right, which is what I have here. Restart your daemon to reload the service file. Reload the daemon. Use this command to reload the daemon, which reloads the service file that you updated to make sure it's got the fresh copy, and then restart your beacon, and it should start doing graffiti. I think I tested it a while back on testing. I haven't tested it for a long time because, like I said, I'm not doing graffiti right now. I may do in the future. I'm just not doing it right now. However, that should answer your question. Pretty easy. You can just convert that over. Yes, thank you, Hexaglen. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Exactly. I have that placard somewhere here, and it's a great quote to keep in mind and be aware of these things, just so you can understand the world a little bit better. And if you see things that don't make sense, you're like, oh, well, maybe that's why. Yes, sir. Good to meet you as well. Hope to see you at a future meetup. What's up? Too old for that shit. Nice. I like that name. Yes, sir. Good question. Initial B. Is it true that all pulse wrap cars are running a validator? Dude, that'd be cool. I want it, man. If somebody puts a validator in a car, man, I want to see a video of someone hooking up to a Tesla and like using the battery and stuff for that. Not saying anyone do that, but that'd be cool. Doing like an electric car. So you could just do a regular car and put batteries and stuff in it too. I used to mess with all that stuff, electronics, a while back, doing all kinds of different fun stuff, putting computers in cars and all that. Because I have a background in computers and IT and a lot of very curious about all of this stuff. It just sounds cool, right? Put a computer in a car. Nowadays, it's like, oh yeah, every if you have a Tesla or electric car, your car is a computer basically. But back when this stuff didn't exist, it's pretty fun. Solar panels. Yeah, solar panels, good batteries. You can recharge them with solar panels. Yeah, there's a lot of nuance we can go on with that. But yeah, that would be cool. Pulse wrap car as a validator, just driving around using cellular data to connect to and make attestations. That'd be cool. Drinking some tea because I'm coffeeed out right now. Yes, Starlink. Exactly. You can Starlink, any other satellite stuff as well. Starlink's just super popular and can be towed as well. What's the estimated net worth of Richard Hart? Does anyone know? I talked about this once. I'm going to say several billion. And that's just going off of some assumptions around, it's hard to break it down. the net worth. I mean, what does he control? What does the companies he have control? What are the addresses that we may or may not assume are him control? All that stuff considered. Even there's some videos of him talking about, oh, it's rumored to have 1 million ETH. Let's do like 1 million ETH price right now, like Ethereum price. So 1852 times 1 million. That alone is, what is that? 18, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That alone is almost 2 billion. So if he just has 1 million ETH, rumor again, if he just has 1 million ETH, that's 2 billion. If you want to count the sacrifice money, if you want to count the OA, whatever, a lot of it's not liquid, obviously, if you were to make those assumptions. But yeah, I'm going to say in the low billions of what I believe he has access to. That is a cool thing because, man, wouldn't you want a genius, I say genius very, loosely, kind of tongue in cheek. I mean, obviously he's a super smart guy, but he's smarter than me and smarter than a lot of people I know. Wouldn't you want him, somebody really, really smart, to have control over that much money, and someone whose literal goal and mission in life is to have glory and to achieve glory through doing great things and be a force for good in the world? I would want that person to have a lot of money because I know they can do a lot of good with it. So I hope he has as much money as possible because I think he has a lot of cool stuff he's going to do. How often last you think, man, you were asking good questions that I have well documented. So we're going to go to let's see, we're going to go to the maintenance section. Put this in the chat as well. So is there any maintenance involved? Keeping Validator running smoothly. There's only 2 things, which are related to your question. So 2 maintenance things. This is outside of, power and utility and battery backups and all that stuff. Like outside of the physical realm, outside of the hardware. Pruning Geth. So if you're running Geth, which is my script uses Geth and Lighthouse. If you're running that quarterly, bi-yearly, whatever, unless you have a huge used disk, which you don't do it very often if that's the case, but if you're running at 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte, whatever, you may want to prune Geth every once in a while. I have a script in the repo. Let me just duplicate this so I can stay on the tab. I have a script right here that you can use to prune Geth. So that's one thing. And the other thing is keep the clients up to date. So there's two scenarios where I would update my clients. One, if RH or somebody, the devs announce there's some new parameter, we're changing, validators are too cheap, we're going to change it, or one day they're too expensive and they change it. So otherwise there could be a fork, blah, 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 which it would be a fork if you're still, testing the stuff on the other system. Anyway, I'm not going to go into forks work, but you get the point. So new parameters on the network that the clients, if you want to use the network that everyone may or may not go to. Again, decentralization, but you got to assume a lot of people are going to go to the new paradigm, the new parameters, whatever it is. You want to update your clients. The other thing is if there are client updates that are critical bugs. So the recent updates weren't critical as far as I know. I know there's been like one before that was or something, but I think that was in, I don't think it's in Lighthouse. I think that was in Prism or something. There's some critical bug. And if you're running that, you want to update. But if it's just like minor things that doesn't change consensus, it isn't changing parameters, they're just like, hey, these are, these bug fixes in one way or another, you may not be affected by it. I personally wouldn't be in a hurry to do it, but you can use, I have an update script for that as well. There's a bug and update script a while back, but hopefully that's fixed. I've tested as much time as I can put into it, and people have helped me test it. So I hope that it works well now. Update client script that will pull the latest updates, rebuild from source and do it for you. Again, the big difference in my script versus all the other ones, Zip's layer script and a lot of the guides use, maybe David Feeder's guide, Gamma's guide, stuff like that. Hodl Dog has a guide. I believe I'm the only one that builds from source. I think everyone else is using Docker containers. I went over Docker versus Docker versus not Docker. I feel like I beat that horse pretty good a lot. Long story short, it doesn't matter. They all work. There's pros and cons with both. To me, I prefer not using Docker for this particular situation. I would use it for other things. I don't personally want to use it for this, so I don't. I pull from the repo and build from source. So if you want to update your clients, you can do that. But that's the two things. So again, there's scripts here to do. I wrote scripts to do everything that I wanted to do in my validator. I use these for my stuff. If you want to set up RPC monitoring, which I'll get to in a second because there's a question on that, I use these myself, and that's why that's why I built this stuff. That's why I shared it. I mean that's basically PLS validating in simplest terms is like you lock up 32 million PLS, you run a server at home or in the cloud that helps the network run, and you print more PLS every day that you do it, every epoch, all that stuff. So super simple idea. Now you do need to own a checkered shirt, as their friend Tommy would say, or at least rent one for a little while, get a server up and running. But again, we have all the resources you need. If you need to learn Linux, which if you don't know Linux, I would say you need to learn Linux, otherwise you're going to struggle. I have tutorials. I've tweeted about those before if you don't know much about it. And then again, that's why I wrote and maintain these scripts, make it easier for myself to spin up a server. And I'm like, all right, well, I can scale that. I can help other people as well. That's why I do all these AMAs and just make being a validator more accessible for the community. So that's why I do it. Yeah, Dipslayers, man. I like his stuff. Very cool scripts. I like mine, but I like Dipslayers scripts as well. That Earl Grey is good. I had some, I went for tea time the other day, share a story. And they had a very nice version, a very luxury version of Earl Grey. And it was delicious. And it really turned me on. I always liked Earl Grey before, but man, when you have like your own pot of like the super high quality Earl Grey, I had too much. I don't think I've ever had too much caffeine from tea. Usually it's coffee where I can start getting that, hey, you had too much kind of thing. I had too much caffeine from tea, which never happened because I never drink that much tea. And that was quite an experience. Anyway, shout out to Earl Grey. Yeah, man, what's happening, man? Yeah, did you send me an email? Because, let's see. Okay, I haven't got it yet. Or no, you did. You did. You know what? I just saw it. Okay. Cool. I will try to some of these. Good questions. You doing Bird Bear? I knew. I was like, who's going to say it first? Bird Bear in the house. It's my Burberry bear I picked up recently. I put it in front of Pikachu. Now the camera does want to focus. Let's see. Can I do it? No, it won't let me cover up Pikachu. Anyways, it's my Burberry bear in celebration of the bear market. Get you some ramen if you can still afford it. Hashtag Burberry bear market. Yorkshire tea is the only tea. Fast, Abdul. Now you're going to make me go try Yorkshire tea, aren't you? Yes. No, thank you for saying it. I was wondering who's going to say it. Who's going to say it today? So appreciate that. Anytime the trigger word is Burbear, or yeah, I even forgot the trigger word. I was going to tweet it, but I forgot what it is. Burbear. B-U-R-B-E-A-R. Nice. Two over the shit says, is it true that RH made millions of Bitcoin back in the day? Yeah. Mining, what's his famous quote? Mining 50 Bitcoin rewards, blocks with 50 Bitcoin rewards, something like that. So pretty sure he made millions of dollars with that. And then he had his own business doing however much turnover. If you type in Richard Hart origin story, Richard Hart, a lot of his interviews, he's told the story a million times. I've watched like hundreds of his interviews and stuff, pretty much all the ones I can. And I believe he was way rich before crypto. That's what he said. And why wouldn't he be, having done all that stuff and having all that stuff before Hex, right? Let me get to the Matt T-shirts question though before I go on. Cover monitoring setup. Yes. So there's two questions in this. One is the monitoring setup, which, let's see. So if you want to set up monitoring, which I haven't done for a long time, I don't really use it. I know a lot of people like it. They like the graphs and stuff. I mean, I wrote a script to do all the stuff, but I really don't use it. I don't look at my validator much. It goes burr, and that's good. Speaking of that, I need to keep it going burr because, like I said, I was testing DigitalOcean. I got to make sure that thing is working again. So let me write myself a note so I have minimal downtime here. Okay. So if you want to set monitoring, here it is. Now your question, Matt, on user scripts get error pin file not found. So after you set up monitoring, this is the command. So this is, you can expose Grafana to the internet, but you don't have to. That's what I'm saying here. You don't need to expose port, was it 3000 to the internet, because if there's ever a bug or whatever, you won't be on the radar for it. So if you don't want to do that, then if you're also using Linux, if you're not using Linux, you can use Windows, you can use Putty program to do all this stuff. I don't have instructions for that. I just have this for Linux. If you use a Linux, you use this command, which -I just means use this key file. So you're using private key authentication. This is the key to your server. So just as if you're using a password, you don't have to use this. You would just not include this, and you would type in your password after you do this. So that may be your problem. I don't know if you're using password-based auth on SSH or using key-based auth. This is for key-based auth. Hopefully that's your problem here. I suspect you're using password auth because you're using a home validator or something. And if so, just get rid of this. This is for password key-based auth. And then -n, then your server, and then you're forwarding on port 8080. You're forwarding 3000 on port 8080. And then you can go to, let's see, I have the docs here. I'll try not to just remember off the top of my head and try to actually show you the docs. Yeah. And once you go to local 8080, this based on computer you do this on, if you have a web browser, this forwards your Grafana that's listening on port 3000 to the local port 8080. So you basically can then open a web browser, go to this, and it will connect to port 3000 on your server, because you're establishing this connection and doing a local port forward to the machine that you're running on. I know it's a little confusing. There's a lot of directions back and forth, but that's the basics. So I think port 22 not open. Well, I mean, so your validator needs to have SSH open to the internet as well, or open to wherever network you're on, whether it's local or on the internet. So if it's not, then first of all, make sure your IP address is correct. And then, yeah, you're going to need to forward port 22 or otherwise be able to access it in order to remotely log in and set this up. So make sure you have those stuff. Make sure you can actually remotely log into your server. Try this without any of this stuff. Just try to remotely log in. That would make sure you have access to port 22. Then if you're using password-based auth, you don't need this, because this is just pointing to your example key.pim file. It could be named anything, but that's just why I named it an example. If you're using password-based auth, you don't need that. If you're using key-based auth, then keep that and just name it whatever key is and point it to the location of your key file. And then once you do that, once you have a connection established, then open your web browser, check it out. So I hope that helps. If not, drop a comment or at me, and I'll try to help you out there. All right, going down the chat. I got a couple of things I want to cover. I want to get to DigitalOcean as well, but let me check for any more questions. Adam Chadwick, what's happening, man? Wondering what anyone's experience has been running nodes with ProxMox setup. I don't know what ProxMox is. We're going to find out. ProxMox. Oh, using virtualization. Okay, use like a virtual machine. It sounds like I've never used it before. Are you trying to run it on Windows? I always joke because everyone's like, oh, why can't I run this stuff? Linux is complicated. I want to run on Windows. I'm like, well, except a virtual machine, but I'm not going to be a tech support for virtual machines, because to me, a server needs to run on hardware. Generally, especially if you're doing it at home. If you're doing the cloud, it's all, you never know what it's running on anyways, but it could be virtual machine, it could be bare metal, whatever. But it sounds like you're doing this. If you're going to use virtual machine software, I recommend either VMware, which is paid, some free versions maybe, but it's like the standard, or VirtualBox, which I think it's free, but may not have as many features and stuff. So these will basically, virtual machine allows you to, whether you're running Linux or Windows, let's say you're running Windows, you can install the software, then you can install Linux or whatever operating system you want, have it running in another window, just like this is a Firefox window, Chrome window, whatever. You can have another operating system running in, not your browser, but running in a program window. and you can expose it, ports and, I don't know. I've actually never ran I don't think I've ever ran a server on a virtual machine on a desktop computer. Pretty sure as far as port forwarding, they're going to have to figure some stuff out on that. It'd be interesting. Not a problem I'm interested in solving. That's why I don't offer support for it. However, yeah, if anyone has any experience with Proxmox or otherwise, people, yeah. Oh, so you're trying to run a virtual machine on it? No, I don't know. Yeah, Hyper-V, if you're on Windows, you can use Hyper-V too. VMware setup almost done, works when it be ported. Yeah, if anyone has some documentation for running a validator in a virtual machine, I'd be interested in seeing it, because again, I'm not recommending anyone do that, but I guess it'd be interesting to see what kind of hoops you need to jump to do it. Maybe it's easy. I don't know. I haven't tried it. Do you think it's realistic PLS reach, is that 50 cents or 5 cents you were trying to tap there in the next 5 years? I do not give price predictions, but like I said, I am my personal opinion is this community and Richard Hart up and to the right. I think we all got a lot of work to do, but that's part of the process. You want to make big changes, you gotta make big changes. You gotta put in the work, and it takes time. All right, let me go over MA's questions real quick, then we'll get DigitalOcean because I got to wrap up. Coming up on the 30-minute mark. Maybe I'll go 35. But got some stuff to do. Sun shining. Okay, take advantage of summertime. What are some important flags worth knowing in the figs? So let me jump to. Let's see. I mean, I have a couple things on flags here too. I'll pull up. But in general, I'm just going to go through the script and kind of explain too. So this is for Lighthouse, for the Beacon client. There's Geth as well. And we might as well throw up the validator client for Lighthouse too. They all have different flags. Some of them are related, some of them aren't. But in general, I'm just going to go through the script flags because I can explain that. Maybe that'll be useful, because I know some people talked about changing the caching on it. I haven't did that. If I ever get Gamma or Feeder back on the show, or anyone else who wants to talk about it, to explain what the benefits are and the trade-offs there and what the gotchas are or caveats or anything else, that would be interesting, but it's not necessary. But I think maybe it helps for the performance in some cases. Probably Hexbleb knows all about this as well. DipSlayer, of course. I think they kind of mess around. I don't mess around with the flags very much. I really just use the default pretty much. So for Geth, so here's the flag. So again, exec start. This is just saying the location of the Geth binary, and then Geth chain. So this would be referring to. So we got defined up here in a variable. The Geth chain is just PulseChain. So it's just defining which chain you want to be on, whether it's PulseChain, Ethereum, whatever. Data directory. So this is Geth data, again, defined above by default of where blockchain data goes. And then turn on HTTP API, turn on these different pieces to the API that you can talk to, that the validator client needs, debug. I forget what each one of these do. They turn on different features of the HTTP API, which allow you to access certain things. I think some of them, this could even be trimmed down. I haven't even tried it. I haven't tried to trim it down because, I mean, it works fine the way it is, but maybe you get extra debug messages, you get extra stats or stuff with debug as well. Can't really remember. Honestly, it's not that important unless you really want to do something different with your validator. But for me, I want to do the least complexity possible. I don't want the thing to ever break. I want to leave it alone. I don't want to touch it very often. So, and then auth RPC JWT client. This is the shared secret between the Lighthouse and Geth, so they can touch each other and do stuff. I'm sure I explained this in detail at some point in the other 25 validator AMAs, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But here's a secret. Again, there's some caching options that people have played with too. I've heard people go back and forth with. I don't know much about them, so I'm not going to cover them here. But Lighthouse, again, we look at the Lighthouse binary, and then we tell it to do the beacon part of the binary, beacon mode, if you will. We do the network, which again is like PulseChain, blah, 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 data directory, where it keeps the beacon data. execution endpoint, which talks to, is this, I can't remember if, some of these I can't remember part of the parameter. Anyways, JWT secret, again, this is a shared secret between the clients. ENR address, so there used to be this checkpoint, another like checkpoint fast thing. I know this might be changed too. Somebody was on the repo saying that they may make syncing much faster now if we take some upgrades on the clients, which may be worth upgrading to. Honestly, I can't remember with the ENR. Let me just look real quick. ENR. I don't keep a lot of stuff off the top of my head because ENR is the address. Yeah, so Ethereum node record. Let's see. I'll get you a better explanation here. ENR. Last number, fixed constructing modified local ENR records address. These like constructor initial ENR, primary intention setting up boot-like nodes. So I think it's for syncing on normal operational last nodes, and these flags need to be set. Setting the flags incorrectly need to be. Yeah. So be careful with that. ENR not detectable. Yeah, this has to do with peers and syncing and ENR. Yeah, discovery of a node and stuff like that. So that's why it's set to, let's see, ENR address. I believe it's set to the PulseChain. The PulseChain. Where did I set ENR address? Server IP. Oh, yeah, that's your server IP address. Yeah, so that's set to your IP address and your Lighthouse port. Okay, so this is stuff about your server. Make it publicly accessible and peering and stuff like that. Fee recipient, yeah, that's where the to get the priority feeds and stuff. That's the place where it goes. And there's only two parameters when you do the setup. It is I think it is your IP address and your fee recipient. I'm gonna double check here. I'm gonna go through the process tonight too. It's been a while since I ran the setup script myself. Yeah, your fee address and your IP address. That's the only two parameters you need when you set up the script, because that's the only two things that go into the client configuration here. And then, yeah, turn on HTTP. So, and then the checkpoint sync URL. Yeah, and that's the PulseChain one we just saw a second ago. And for the validator client, it's pretty lightweight. Again, the fee recipient, the network, and then it's running validator client, and boom, they all work together. Happy ending. Yeah, take a little bit of time to answer, and yeah, like I said, I forget half of it. I don't keep a lot of it on top of my head too. That's why I make scripts, so it all automates it, and I don't have to think about it, remember all the time. Seeing one says RHMax is going to make a triple bottom. Man, who knows? Who knows? I'm not a chartist. I'm not a speculator. I'm not a prediction oracle. So hard to say, but we can only hope for up and to the right. I'll say that. When and where it happens, we do not know. What's up, Frosty Dog? There's a flag to increase connected peers. Yeah, is there a flag, or is there a flag? I'm not sure. There may be, but honestly, with the current configuration, I've been getting, I feel like 60 to 90 peers is pretty average. So that's what I'm saying. I don't like to tweak the validator stuff that much, because I don't know. It works the way it is. So I just try not to. I just go with like the simplest possible. I don't know. Some people like to nerd out and tweak it and do stuff, but for me, it's like I just don't want to break it. So I just try not to touch it very often. What's up, Drix? How would it be for someone without prior experience getting validation? Difficult. Yeah, I would say I have a tweet too. Let me find the tweet. Then I'm going to move on because I really got to wrap up here. I'll talk about DigitalOcean. I'll probably not take any more questions right now because I want to talk about DigitalOcean after this. Command line. I just tweeted this again, just retweeted it. I think Richard tweeted this a while back. Yeah, because that's 619 likes. More peer, just increase bandwidth use of domain sensor. Yeah, it could. Yeah, if you connected more peers, it could increase bandwidth. I mean, how much that would affect you, hard to say if you got gigabit connection versus 50 megabit. Different, maybe different, but what was the question? Yeah. So to this, check out this Twitter. There's a great playlist here that walks you through on Ubuntu and a command line. So yes, you do need to know a little bit about Linux and the basics before you start validating. I would humbly suggest. Otherwise, it could be quite a struggle. And yeah, there's some tech support on Telegram, but you really want to be able to do basic commands and stuff before you get into it. But if you're willing to spend an hour or so going through the playlist and learning stuff and grokking it, then you can be successful with it. All right, I'm going to drop DigitalOcean doc. I have not tried this yet. I went through it, but I haven't confirmed. Let me just drop this. Hot new document for DigitalOcean. So I mentioned a while back that I've been trying to find a cheaper cloud than AWS because my AWS bill has been like anywhere from $400 to $700. Not super cost effective, especially PLS price going down. ROI, not great right now. But again, if I believe the price is going up in the future, why not care? I just care about, making Pulse every day, right? However, DigitalOcean, the annoying thing with them, so this is instructions. I'm going to try 16 gig. So right now, I'm not recommending 16 gig. I think the standard consensus is at least 32 gig of memory for this stuff. I'm going to try 16 gig with my new validator and test it out because I'm very curious, and it's a lot cheaper, relatively speaking. And DigitalOcean in general seems to be a lot cheaper. We'll see. I still need some time to go through and get the monthly stats, but the only annoying thing about DigitalOcean is, in order to even get a 16 or 32 gigabyte instance, you need to have billing history. And when you first sign up, you don't have billing history. So I literally had to spin up a server for the first month. Like a month ago, I'd spin up a server just to get some billing history that I'm not using for a validator, just to pay $50 or whatever for a server for a month, just to get billing history. So then they would enable me to get a bigger instance because they get a lot of fraud or something. That's a month delay in switching over because of that. So now I've been enabled. I'm able to get these instances. So I put in the instructions, I documented as I went. And here's how to set up. It's a little bit different AWS. You got to add your own Ubuntu user just to make it more AWS-like. That's what I did. And yeah, I would recommend doing that. Yeah, I'd recommend doing that because I don't know. I like it looking more like that. And it only gives you the root user by default. You don't want to use the root user. I would never recommend anyone use the root user for daily stuff. It's not what it's for. So that's why I like adding just an Ubuntu user with sudo privileges, just like AWS. I think AWS out of the box works perfectly. DigitalOcean just gives you root by default. And I think it kind of leaves it up to you to do that. And they give you a cost estimate in the top right corner of the screen. It's pretty cool, much more than I could say for AWS. So it looks like a much cheaper option, like literally maybe could be 50 to 80% cheaper. Very excited about that. Running Validator in the cloud, I haven't tested it yet, but if I get it down to like $100 to $300, I think it's much more cost effective. And I would, running the cloud, pros and cons, but I don't have to worry about battery backups. I don't have to worry about the power going out or bandwidth or routers or Wi-Fi and all that stuff. I like offloading that. Not saying anyway. I'm glad a lot of people running at home. Better for decentralization, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't mean I have to. So, there's all kinds of cloud criticism. I get it. I acknowledge it. I think it serves a purpose, and I'm glad everyone doesn't do it, but I think some people doing it is okay. So if you're going to do it for DigitalOcean, give yourself a month head start. If you want to create an account and get a little bit of billing history going so you can request these bigger instances, these bigger servers to use later on, feel free. Again, get that month head start if you're actually serious about doing it, putting a server in the cloud. Here's some instructions for how to do it. And that being said, I know it's painful looking at the bill when it's like $700. I'm like, I'm dealing with a few other things other than that too. And especially if you want to do like backups and snapshots and stuff, it's a lot. If PLS is, PLS is much more than it is today, then it doesn't matter. That's what I'm banking on. Hopefully it will be. How CPU intensive validation? I don't think it's very CPU intensive, but memory intensive. Lowest power NUX suffice. I don't know. I haven't tested the NUX, but David Feeder's website, validatorstore.com, has a lot of options on there. Check that out. I don't have much experience with NUX though, because I run in the cloud rather than home. That's all I got for y'all today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.